And welcome to Kelly and Wrighty. Do you like goals, Wrighty?
I love goals, man.
We've got 38 of them from this weekend, 24 on Sunday alone, and some unbelievable drama.
Especially at the Etihad.
Yeah, especially there, where Kulusevski's late goal for Tottenham at Man City means the champions have dropped points again, and there were a few things that made Haaland just a little bit angry.
You know what that result means, Kels? The title race is wide open. Arsenal now 2 points clear at the top. Could this be the season?
It might just be, but Jurgen Klopp says none of us will ever forget Liverpool's win over Fulham. That keeps them in second place. We'll discuss a game full of worldies.
And we could have the first managerial sacking of the season. Paul Heckingbottom was on the brink after Sheffield United were thrashed at Burnley.
There is so much to talk about on a weekend that brought us yet another Premier League epic. Well, that 3-3 draw at the Etihad, dramatic 3-3 draw, means that Manchester City are in third in the table. Liverpool's very late show against Fulham means they're up to second. They're 2 points behind Arsenal, who beat Wolves 2-1 at the Emirates. Aston Villa still in fourth after their draw at Bournemouth. Newcastle leapfrog Manchester United after they beat them at St James's Park. And at the other end of the table, Sheffield United are rock bottom after they lost 5-0 at Burnley. It is being widely reported today that manager Paul Heckingbottom will be sacked. Of course, we're across that and we'll keep you up to date if anything does happen. Everton's win at Nottingham Forest, big one for them. It moves them up into 18th. It means they're 2 points behind Luton, who lost again, this time at Brentford. And there's no time to catch your breath. There are 10 more Premier League fixtures this week. It's all to come. Luton up against Arsenal on Tuesday night. It should be straightforward for Arsenal as they hope to extend their lead at the top of the table. But big games elsewhere at both ends of the table. Nottingham Forest with an unimpressive performance at the weekend against Everton will be looking to put that right as they travel to Fulham. Sheffield United may be under new management by the time they face Liverpool on Wednesday evening. Manchester City are off to Aston Villa. City going there without Rodri. He's going to be suspended. A big game that night for Manchester United. They're at home to Chelsea. And then the Thursday night games, Everton looking for points now desperately at the bottom end of the table after their points deduction, up against Newcastle, and they are hit by injuries. It's going to be so stretched for them at this stage of the season, but they need to make sure they can get all 3 points to keep pace with the teams towards the top of the table. Big game for Tottenham as well, as they're up against West Ham. It's what is always a spicy encounter. Talking of which, spicy encounters, Flo Hughes and Darren Bent are with us in the studio today to talk about all things, but we're going to start at the top of the table because it's been absolutely chaotic. It's been very, very frosty in the UK all this week. In fact, so cold that some people have been having to revert to special measures to make sure that they keep up to sort of body temperature. Did you have a bicycle pump in this boat?
No, it's just the side view.
Was it definitely yours?
That's real.
That's real.
It's not.
You tried that on the other day, didn't you?
I tried that on the other day and I shrunk. You wouldn't see me. It was so big on me.
It's like the Rock's coat.
No, it's just the side view, which is front ways.
It's a duvet.
It's perfect. It's exactly what was needed for Monclesi.
And it was needed because it was very, very cold this weekend, Friday and Saturday in particular. In fact, the title race looks like all those videos that are going around at the moment, all those memes of cars sort of sliding into trouble. That's what the title race is like at the moment. Everybody's kind of dropping points, finding themselves in
Under Arsenal, you mean?
Well, Arsenal, even in the second half against Wolves, it felt like they were trying their best to kind of skid themselves into trouble in that one.
I hear what you're saying.
Liverpool certainly did against Fulham, even though they got 3 points. Manchester City dropped points against the Tottenham side that they were widely expected to wipe the floor with.
Snow skid, yeah.
But it just means it's really exciting.
It's very exciting.
I mean, it's not a perfect analogy, but I'll be honest, I didn't know where to go after seeing you in that big coat.
No, I thought it was brilliant weekend. This weekend with the goals and the late drama. Obviously, you know, the Man City and everything that happened there. Arsenal, you know, winning a home game. When we went into the game, I was saying, listen, it's as tough as it is, all the home games, you have to win them because whatever City are doing, even though they drop points against Spurs and miss chances, they will find their feet at some stage because we know that they'll have that run in and around that February where they don't lose any games. And so you have to be winning the home games. And I was pleased with the way Arsenal started. Obviously, it got a bit shaky at the end, you know, but like they saw it through. And that's the main thing now, to get it done, Kels. You know, I thought that at the start of the game, when we watched this game, I thought Wolves done pretty well. But then it was this just brilliant, intricate play from Arsenal, and you broke them open. And what normally happens with Arsenal is that with that low block, they find it very hard to break it down. But they did. They broke it down very early, and they got themselves in front. Great play, Zinchenko moving it quicker on the edge of the box, moving the Wolves players about. And then you're 2-0 up and you're thinking, wow, this is exactly what you want from a home game.
I mean, look, as you say, they made it difficult for themselves later on in the game. Wolves got back into it and you know, it was a little bit tense towards the end for Arsenal. And that's just a lovely finish, that goal. But, you know, the difference that Odegaard makes to Arsenal is huge. I know he got the goal there, but the first half in particular, they look fantastic.
Yeah, and he's probably somebody who's not been at his best at the start of this season. I mean, last season he was phenomenal. For me, the best number 10 in the league last year. This season, definitely, people maybe got a little bit tighter to him, haven't given him enough space, and he struggled a little bit. But certainly now, the last couple of performances, certainly in Europe, and then that one at the weekend in the first half, he is starting to get it together again. He's so vital to what Arsenal do well, getting him the ball with little passes. He always seems to choose the right option, whether it be a shot or a pass.
Through those lines.
The little break of the lines as well. I mean, he's been phenomenal. But again, Arsenal, again, just ticking along nicely. I still don't think they've hit the heights they hit last season. There were times last season I thought the football they played was outstanding. I don't think we've seen that yet, other than the European game in the week. But I don't think Lons were that great.
I think they'll doubt that they've had to sacrifice a little bit offensive to be a bit more solid defensively. They'll flow what I've seen, because you know if last season what was it 14 times they scored like in the first 15 minutes. But what else they were doing in those first 15 minutes, they would easily concede as well. And I think that's what Mikel's kind of tried to change, trying to shore it up, to start fast but not leave the back door open. I think that's what we've done. He's closed up the back door.
It's definitely lower risk, and I think that's important because, a big part of the way Arteta wants to play is be aggressive quite early and get those early goals. But I agree with you. I think they were losing some of the solidity at the back, and then they were making things difficult for themselves. And I do think, although there are moments this season that haven't been, I think that second goal was kind of quintessential Arsenal. But there are games which have been a little bit tougher, not the best thing to watch. I think the Brentford game was a prime example. And Odegaard has been off it in matches, and he was starting to feel the pressure. But then at the same time, Arsenal fans can probably feel positive about the fact they're still creating a lot of chances that they're not putting away. And if that starts to click and Nketiah finds that form of rhythm that he can tap into, and they share the goals a little bit more, Jesus as well, then they'll be even better. But to be where they are and still not be at their peak is definitely reassuring, because sometimes you have to win ugly. That's just the reality of the Premier League.
And that's what Manchester City were hoping that they were going to be able to do against Tottenham. They kept giving Tottenham the opportunity to come back into that game. It led to a very frustrating evening for Manchester City, capped at the end by the decision by referee Simon Hooper. So there's a foul here. It's against Newcastle, and correctly, I think everybody would agree, he decides to play against Tottenham correctly to play the advantage. But then he seems to see Jack Grealish in possibly what he thinks is an offside position, and whereas we normally see them let that go and bring it back if, you know, VAR then looks at it and decides it's offside, he then blows the whistle to stop the game. And I think there was a moment of kind of there was a pause in the ground as people thought, is that the ref's whistle? Has he stopped the game? And there was a kind of confusion, because we're not used to seeing that anymore. We're used to seeing them let that kind of opportunity go. And it was just you can understand the frustration from the City players in that situation.
I'm out, bro. I'm out with the decisions now, because if you say something,
that's not a VAR thing as well, because everybody keeps saying, "Oh, I hate VAR now."
No, it's not even VAR.
It's not clear, I think, as well, because some people are saying, "Oh, maybe it's because Haaland didn't find his balance and he thought Haaland wasn't going to get up, so he was going to put it back for a free kick." Some people say maybe he was actually signalling for a free kick all along. I think it's the lack of understanding and the lack of clarity which makes it even more confusing, because traditionally it's going to be the lines person that's going to flag, which will then communicate to the referee to blow their whistle. But if the linesman isn't flagging, then I think, you know, in most situations, the referee's not going to take the impetus to blow the whistle. And I think it's just a confusion. Now, in this scenario, City really had a lot of opportunities they didn't stick away, which is the real reason they didn't win this game. Not necessarily this single mistake, but it still is a mistake and it pulls the focus away. But like Ian said, you get lost in that decision and it takes away from the the real scenario of the game. And the scenario was that City had the opportunity to win it, and they didn't.
Yeah, papered over some cracks there. Like I said, I'm not going to really comment on that side of it, simply because I feel that I done a game
on
the other
which side of it? On the refereeing side of it?
Yeah, because like
because you're done with.
I'm done. I'm done because you can't win with the conversation. If you don't say something about the referee, people say, "Why didn't you say something?" If you do, people say you're picking on him too much, so you can't win. So what I was going to say, Kelsey, is
fair criticism, I think, is reasonable. I think to say that was a bizarre decision,
yes,
and one that we wouldn't normally see. It was an unusual decision. I think that's
well,
fair
we've seen
to say.
big injuries to players because the referees haven't blown the whistle. So, but in that instance there, where he's got, I don't understand. It's consistency. I think the problem that's the problem. It's the consistency. Just let it go. We've seen players go through, them not blow the whistle, they get injured, and then they go, okay, it was a foul on the halfway line. We'll just blow the whistle then. In this instance, he doesn't do that. We know he does that. Doesn't allow play to go on, and that's where people and everyone associated to football get so frustrated. Because where's the consistency? You want people to give referees and the VAR a little bit of slack, and that's fair enough. But then you've got to then show a level of consistency if people go, okay, well, they're at least trying to do it. In that scenario there was no reason to wave on and then blow the whistle. It just didn't make sense to me.
And I think there's a reality to this situation, right, which is we've seen this season some objective mistakes that have happened around VAR. You know, there's been some examples of that. And then there's been some more subjective situations that coaches and fans and players have not been happy with. And you have to talk about them differently because this seems like and feels like an objective mistake, right? You see the situation, you think, OK, but there are other ones which are a bit different and they're a bit more 50-50. And I think you can't look at them with the same lens and the same criticism. And there also has to be an acceptance that officials, unfortunately, can't be perfect all of the time, but it's the level of the mistake and how it impacts the game, which is the biggest context you've got to consider.
I think we've got to give credit to Tottenham because as much as everybody was saying, you know, is he going to play that high line? Are they going to go for it? They've got players missing. And Tottenham, you have to say, and you rightly said, they missed a lot of chances, City, which they normally take. But Tottenham stayed in that game and rode their luck. And what we saw was clinicalness from them, you know, clinical from Son, clinical from Lo Celso, and in the end, Kulusevski scored the goal. And what is great about this season is that a team like Tottenham will go there without some of their top guys and have a go. Yeah. You know, not go and say, right, we're going to stay back and definitely maybe lose the game because you're trying to defend, but they're going to have a go at them because at the moment, there is a fragility about Manchester City, especially on that left side. You know, if you've got, especially when they had Kovacic over there, you've got Doku over there and Gvardiol. It's the left side of Manchester City that's not quite got up to speed with how they're doing their stuff. So that's where you want to try and attack them. And even the first goal came from that side. But I'm just pleased to see a team like Tottenham just say, well, let's just have a go then, instead of just like not getting anything. Because if they don't do that, they definitely don't win, don't get anything out of that game.
Is there also an argument that that is the most pragmatic thing that Ange Postecoglou could do with the group of players that he has available to him, that he has no fit defenders? And so he says, well, we are clean. I think their XG was something like 0.47.
Yeah.
So they weren't creating clear-cut chances. They just managed to score 3 goals in the process. So he's like, do you know what? We know our attacking players can do it. We know our defenders aren't anywhere near our first choice defenders, certainly in terms of central defence. So what we'll do is we'll keep the ball as far away from that end of the pitch as we possibly can. There's something quite sensible about that, even though it looks a little bit chaotic and a little bit reckless. But it looks reckless. But maybe it's not. Maybe it's entirely sensible.
Well, it's high risk, it's high reward, and the error.
But maybe
that
what I'm trying to say is maybe letting the defenders see more of the ball is higher risk if they are those defenders, maybe.
And the mistake that Basuma made for City's third goal, it was, I think, they were playing the same way that got them the other 3 goals. So you have to play that way and play in that philosophy to then get the rewards that you want. And Spurs, the way that they're playing this season, if you give them an inch, they will certainly take a mile. And I think that, like, having that as your core philosophy, as much as it became their downfall and a bit of a joke in that Chelsea game, that is their philosophy, and they will win a lot more games and get a lot more points than they will lose. And if you stay true to that, you have to.
They'll always be in games. That's the thing about this Spurs side under Postecoglou. They'll get beat, they'll get hammered a couple of times, but they'll win a lot of games. They'll always be in games. Even the games where they've lost the last 3, the Villa game, for instance, they had chances to see that game off in the first 15 minutes. The Chelsea game, first 15, 20 minutes, they could have scored 2, 3, 4 up. when they're missing the chances and they're getting beat, I can understand why Ange Postecoglou will look at it and go, yeah, it's disappointing. I don't want to lose games, but they're creating chances. In every single game they've lost, they've not been blown out the water. The Chelsea game, the result, yeah, it looks bad. But if you look at the context of that game, they go. So I think playing this way, they'll always be, whoever they're playing against, they'll always be in games.
He said that he told the players at half-time, look, this is how I want you to play. If we get beat, my fault. Go out and do it. Don't worry about making mistakes. And I think, you know, we always talk about vibes with Tottenham, and it gets to the stage where it feels a little bit kind of scratching the surface and not really. But it is important, the atmosphere that he is creating in the players, the confidence that he's creating in the players and the belief in the way that he wants to play.
There's nothing, I don't think there's anything that you can hear as a player more than a manager having the kind of confidence in you and saying, listen, go and do the stuff what I'm saying to you. Enjoy yourself doing it. I'll take the blame if it goes wrong. Yeah. Because that's what we saw in that particular game. But what we saw more than anything, which really punished City, was the clinical nature in which Tottenham took those chances. Because like you said, the XG was 0.5, I don't know what it was.
It was about a half. I can't remember, something round about
whatever
there.
It was. And so when you do put in a performance like that and you get something, you know what it's like on the bus, on the way back, everybody's buzzing, everybody's the momentum. And when you get the other players back, if you can stay doing what you're doing now and getting results against the best in the league, honestly, then you think what Tottenham are going to be capable of doing once they do get the fit players back. Because what I like about him, he's not complaining about who's out, because they've got some top players out. They're just getting it done, and they got it done against City, and that should be a worrying thing for a lot of people.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I think it shows a lot about how teams can continue to take points off Manchester City as well. This result, the Wolves result, the Arsenal result, which is, if you can intercept and get to those passes first or win those individual duels and battles, you can get something out of the game, because that's how they play their football. If you can disrupt their rhythm, you're going to get something from the game. And I think Tottenham have done that well, and some other teams have done that well this season. And we haven't seen that weakness before in City.
No, 3 wins in their last 8 Premier League games for Manchester City. And as you said, there are times in previous seasons where they haven't quite been perfect, or they've dropped a couple of points here and there. But this sort of consistently below par performance feels very unusual for them. And yes, they're dealing with a bit of more of a changeover of players than they've had in previous seasons. De Bruyne is still to come back into this, of course, and they're going to be playing in the next game without Rodri in the side when they face Aston Villa because of suspension. Grealish, but he's less of a key player in that side, will be missing as well. And it feels as though there is a weakness there, which is why we started off by saying the title race is exciting.
It's wide open.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, the kind of change of players, as you said, losing certain players, key players, Gundogan, likes of this, and players coming in. But I think if you show real belief against Manchester City, I think that's the biggest thing. When you're playing against a side like that, like Manchester City will take risks because they've got the ball, so they'll always flood people forward. We've seen over the last couple of seasons, I mean, Brentford was a prime example last season when they went to the Etihad and won. If you can show real belief and commit men forward and play the game you want to play, yeah, of course, you're going to have to relinquish some of the possession because they'll have a lot of it and chances. But if you can keep pushing forward and keep creating opportunities, they will always give teams a chance to score. It's whether you take the chances or not.
That's exactly right.
And Spurs did that. You gave Spurs the opportunities when they went forward. They took them. So if you take your chances, you'll be in games. But I think the biggest thing is when you play City, you have to believe that you can get something from the game. If you go into that game thinking, I'm going to be 4 or 5, you've got no chance. And I think teams in this little run that they're having have all believed, Chelsea, a prime example, Pochettino, we can go and get something in this game. They're Manchester City, but we can go and win it.
The Villa game's going to be fascinating because of the way that he sets up so specifically for the opponent and tweaks things. And obviously, if we've seen it, Unai Emery's seen it, and he knows exactly how to get past them. That's going to be incredible. Because then after that, they've got a run of games like Luton and Palace, Everton, that they would hope that they were able to win, and teams in there that have struggled to score. And then in the middle of January, at the end, sort of sandwiching all of that is Newcastle, which is another team who are going to be able to fly out the blocks against them and cause them trouble. But that Villa game is going to be really interesting.
It's a very exciting game, the Villa game, because Villa from back to front, they look very solid. Obviously, their goalkeeper is very good. I think Constance having a fantastic season. You know, Douglas in the middle. What's Douglas Luiz? And Kamara. You know, Leon Bailey saw him the other day looking unbelievable. And then Ollie Watkins is now starting to score those goals and being that focal threat that we all believe he can be. All he needs to do for me now, Darren, is just score more, just consistently, just continually score more goals because he looks very dangerous. And it will be a game Aston Villa will fancy against the Manchester City side, especially with no Rodri, with the fact that if you can take the chances, like you said there, Darren, if you can take the chances, Kells, against City, it brings a whole different City to you, simply because they still have to come forward, but they still are leaving gaps that if you can take the half chance, you will beat City. And this is what I'm believing this season, is that people are now believing, you know something, like Tottenham went there with a weakened side and said, you know what, we're gonna roll the dice. They were fortunate because they missed some chances, but in the end, it paid off. And that is what teams have got to do against City. And I think that it's going to be very exciting.
I thought you were coming in there. You were just nodding. You were just nodding in agreement.
Thank you. So wise.
Just very much agree with all of this. But what we've said is City dropping points, of course, has opened things up again at the top of the table. Arsenal, as we've covered, are one of the sides who are poised to take advantage of that. But Liverpool also, with that win, we'll be talking about them very shortly. It was a late show at Anfield against Fulham after some nervy moments. Well, look, as you've been saying during the break, it wasn't necessarily a commanding, convincing performance from Liverpool, but it was exciting.
Always exciting at Liverpool, especially with their home record. You know, you could see that Liverpool, the press is not as good as it was. You know, something that, you know, they used to be amazing at. It's not as what it was. And the midfield's starting to get sorted out, and then the defence as well is still a little bit creaky. But at Anfield, it just feels very difficult for a team to feel like they're going to be able to win, because something happens, and I don't know. Now I'm talking about witchcraft. You know, in respect of Anfield at home. You know, you're Fulham. You go there, you score 3 goals. You're thinking 3 goals away from home, you're going to win. But like not at Liverpool, not at Anfield, not that crowd. It's amazing.
And 4 brilliant goals as well. Every single one of them.
How can they not give that first one to Trent, like saying that this is an own goal? Look at that.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous, not giving him that goal. I don't know if that's coming out if it doesn't hit his head. So what about that one? Wow.
That one from McAllister. And
his first goal as well for Liverpool.
Yeah, it's just an amazing finish for him in the Premier League. Mo Salah involved in that one, but he'll be upset not to get on the score sheet.
Oh, he's livid.
And they were so close to them, all 4 being from outside the area. Yeah. Obviously, this one comes back, and Trent's just inside the 18-yard box, but all long-range efforts. And the problem is, I bet none of them win goal of the month because they'll pull votes from each other. Those goals. Which one would you go for if you had to pick one of them? Which one would it be?
I would have given Trent's free kick, but that doesn't really count.
McAllister?
Probably McAllister.
No, McAllister actually, because the way that travels, it's an absolute bullet.
It's a beauty because it was on its way up. It's bouncing, it's on its way up, and it kind of caught it a little bit on the... You know, it's beautiful. Yeah. It's a beautiful one.
It's interesting that their goals scored by midfielders and scored by Trent Alexander-Arnold, who is a hybrid midfielder now. Who's kind of it's that development of this new Liverpool team. There was a lot of fuss made at the start of the season about Liverpool 2.0, and and they're not quite there yet, as you said, but they're starting to feel like a team. You know what they're about. You know what is expected from each of those players within that system.
Mm. Sorry, I thought...
It's not what you hear. Tell me later.
No, I thought he was looking over there, Kel. No, Kel's like... No, I hear you. In respects of what they're doing and what they're trying to do, like you're seeing Darwin Núñez now, Diaz and Salah, even though Salah didn't score, or Darwin Núñez or Diaz, none of them scored. The fact that they can get goals from other areas of the pitch now is another thing they can put in they can add to their armoury, simply because it's probably going to be those 3 guys, Salah, Núñez and Diaz, who are going to get the goals. But if you can get them from other places and you've got this never say die, and you've got your midfielder putting pressure on people, getting forward, scoring goals as well. You know, if they can kind of add that into the away performances and maybe tighten it up at the back a bit, then Liverpool, again, are going to be a very tough side to beat because they've got goals from everywhere. They're getting goals from everywhere now. All the midfielders and people are chipping in now. And the 3 guys up front.
I think they've got a lot of firepower, as you said there. I think that's what maybe separates them. Maybe not from Manchester City, but Arsenal, who were thereabouts, good players. I mean, Mo Salah didn't score in the 4 yesterday, but his numbers speak for themselves over the last.
And he should have scored. He had a brilliant chance in the game, especially for him.
So it wouldn't surprise me if the next game now he gets a couple. If it's still livid, but I think Liverpool's firepower will separate them from certainly the rest of the Premier League. But as you said there, I put them in a transition still because they're still trying to figure out that midfield. I don't think McAllister's a holder. I think he's more of a number 8, can get box to box, can create. I don't think he wants to sit Endo. I think once he gets fitness, that will help. But again, if for Liverpool, the same way you look at Arsenal haven't played that well, but still top. Liverpool are still trying to find some things out, and they're third in the table. Or I think they might be second. So second in the table.
Second
in the table. Again, that's a positive for Jurgen Klopp because once they do hit fire and they do get to where they need to be, they're going to take some beating as well.
And we're joined now by Harvey Elliott from Liverpool. Harvey, thanks so much for your time. Good to talk to you.
No problem. Hi, how are you? You okay?
All good, all good. Harvey, we're just talking about the win, and obviously Liverpool would want to win every game comfortably. But if you're not going to win it comfortably, is that maybe the second best way to win a game?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's the best way of doing it. That's for sure. But I mean, at the end of the day, we still got the 3 points, and we made it an interesting game for everyone. And it's what football's all about, in my opinion. But yeah, as I said, it's not our main goal to do it like that. But yeah, most importantly, we won.
Was the manager upset about the goals conceded? Did he say anything afterwards about the conceding goals?
Yeah. You know, I think as a team we knew as well that the goals we conceded weren't good enough. It's not, you know, it was a hard game. You know, Fulham made it very hard for us, and yeah, the goals weren't, as I said, good enough. But the way we came back and the mentality, I think you couldn't really complain about that. But we did make it hard for ourselves, that's for sure.
And we were just chatting there about the goals. Every one of them was fantastic. 2 of them scored by midfielders. 1 of them scored by what we're now calling a hybrid midfielder in Trent Alexander-Arnold. Obviously, you might have mixed feelings about midfielders scoring because it's your place in the team. But have you talked about, with Jurgen Klopp, your role in this midfield, this new look Liverpool midfield this season?
Yeah, I mean, we've had brief conversations here and there. You know, I've played Europa League and the Cup games in midfield and on the wing as well. So for me, I think it's just about waiting for my opportunity, you know, and just making sure I take it. But yeah, for me, I'm just over the moon for all the other lads to see the goals fly in yesterday and how wonderful they were as well. I mean, everyone has to chip in and score here and there. It can't always be the forwards. And you know, when people are popping up with 35-yard screamers, it's, I mean, it's just a great game to watch. Yeah, so, you know, we're all practicing and training and stuff, and making sure, as I said, it's not just the forward scoring. We need to make our part, and that's exactly what we done yesterday.
I was just wondering, Harvey, did you have a favourite of the goals? And did anyone surprise you, especially McAllister's? Has he been doing that in training, or was that a bit of a shock?
You know what, I spoke to him today, Macca, and I said, where's that come from? And he said he normally pulls it out once a year. So, I mean, he saved it until December, which is good. So hopefully we can see it in January next year. But yeah, I mean, all of them were unbelievable goals. Yeah, and I mean, the way we won, and with Trent securing it at the end and getting the 3 points, it was just, you know, written in the stars.
We spoke about, obviously, the 4 goal scorers. Someone who didn't get a goal was Mo Salah. How was he feeling after the game? Because I know strikers, if the team scores 4 and he isn't happy, he's not happy. So how was he?
Yeah, you know, I mean, Mo always wants to score. He's always wanted to be on the score sheet, but I mean, he got an assist as well, and yeah, even if he has a quiet game and not scoring, he's always popping up with, you know, stats here and there, whether it's an assist or something, and you know, he's always making sure he's there somewhere. But yeah, as I said, he weren't the happiest, but I think he was, you know, just happy to win. You know, the team played a great game and secured the 3 points. And as I said earlier, it can't just be the forwards that score. You all need to chip in, and you know, it might not be Mo's day, but the other boys turned up and, you know, they delivered.
Harvey, so often over the last few seasons, barring a couple, including the one that Liverpool won the Premier League title, it's been very close seasons with those notable exceptions. This season, it feels like the teams at the top can be beaten. So what's the sort of chat around training in the dressing room about a title this season?
You know, we're not really thinking that's too far ahead. You know, there's still a long way of the season to go, and unbelievable teams within the league as well. So you know, it can change instantly. We just need to keep taking it game by game and making sure we're putting in these performances. You know, teams can be beaten in this league, but you know, every team thinks the same. Whether you're, you know, a bigger team at the top or, you know, kind of lower team that's struggling at the bottom, everyone has the quality within the team and great players. So we can't be, you know, unmotivated for games. We always need to be going in 100% and making sure we do the job. But yeah, as I said, it's too early to be thinking about that. We just need to be taking it game by game. But you know, it's definitely in our minds at the start of the season, and we'll try our best.
Which makes the game against Sheffield United that's coming up really interesting, because there's the possibility that they could be under new management for that one. We don't know anything for definite as yet, but suddenly it's a slightly different challenge that you're going to be facing.
Yeah, you know, definitely for them being at home, the crowd are going to be on their back, wanting a reaction, and you know, we're going to be needing to try and silence the crowd, and we're going to expect that. Whether they have a new manager or not, you know, the team's going to come out fighting and want to put things right. So for us, as I said, it's just about, you know, making sure we do the job and going into the game thinking, you know, we need to get the job done here and not take the foot off the gas. We need to do the job professionally, and you know, the lads know this, and we need to work on these, you know, next couple of days as a team and see what they do, and then, yeah, apply it into the game.
Harvey, we started off by talking about the quality of the goals in the game at the weekend. We're going to take this as an opportunity to show your Premier League goal for Liverpool as well, so we can have a look at this one. Obviously, it comes at Anfield, and it's such a special place to play football, and it's been so successful of late as well. We're looking at your goal in the 9-0 against Bournemouth. Again, it's another long-range effort. The belief, especially when you're playing at home, must be incredible.
Oh, you know, it's a dream since I was a kid. You know, you go in the back garden pretending you're at Anfield, scoring in front of the crowd, and for me, I was celebrating in front of, you know, my neighbour's fences, and then I went to celebrating in front of the crowd. Yeah, I mean, scoring any goal for Liverpool is a dream come true, but let alone at Anfield, it's just that extra buzz with, you know, your family in the crowd. And for me personally, it was such a special goal as well. So yeah, it just, you know, made it that extra touching. But I feel like I need to do more, to be honest. You know, I've scored one in the Premier League. I need to add more goals to my game, and you know, it's motivation as well to keep regaining these feelings, and yeah, as I said, it's something I've been trying to work on and need to add more, and yeah, I need to start doing it.
Harvey, look, really good to talk to you. Thanks so much for your time today.
My pleasure. Thank you very much, guys. Take care.
Take it easy.
Thank you very much. Really interesting hearing from
He's a
Harvey
nice guy,
there.
You're a nice guy.
You'd say that every time.
No, but he just sees a little
Is he your
smile
new
and everything.
favourite?
Yeah, I like him.
He's
yeah.
your new favourite.
But the thing is, he's somebody that the potential that he's had. He obviously had that injury and everything, what he had. But like as a player, and the way he sees the game, he's passing. You know, his mobility. You know, the capability. Like he said, he's got to score more goals. He again is somebody that, you know, if he can get to where he's anywhere near his potential, again, Liverpool's got a real proper player on their hands there. You know, so I'm really excited for him.
Yeah, he's only 20, and
Exactly,
there's a lot more sort of developing to do. And as he said, he's a Liverpool fan. When he scored that goal, I think the scenes of his dad celebrating in the stands went viral because he saw his son score at Anfield. So it's been a big moment for him. And as he said, playing at Anfield has been so good for Liverpool with 11 wins in a row.
If I said to you the difference between Arsenal and Manchester City is when Manchester City go 2-0 up after 10, 15 minutes, they win 5-0, don't they? They absolutely smash opponents. Arsenal still have that little bit of complete domination, 2-0 being a difficult lead and all that malarkey, and then a goal comes back and there's a nervy last 10 minutes. Is that where Arsenal still need to improve?
Yeah, possibly. And everyone always talks, when you talk about Arsenal, they haven't got an out-and-out goal-scoring striker that can put teams to bed. And you say, going 2-up after about 15 minutes or something yesterday, you know, Man City or even Liverpool probably would have been 3-4, 5-0, you're thinking. But 2-0, they get the goal back late, don't they? Only 5 or 6 minutes to go. But it makes the nervousness within the team and also the stadium. So everyone's going, can they get a late equaliser, Wolves? But they managed to hang on, and Arteta's obviously happy after the game.
Yeah. They won the last 5. And when you look at you would expect them to win the last 5. I mean, it's ridiculous to say a team who are top of the league are under the radar, but all the chat's still about Man City. And all the chat really is about the nearest challenger to Man City is probably Liverpool in most people's eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but do you know what I mean? Maybe because they're not playing with quite the fluency of last season, and we know we've discussed why, because they want a bit more control.
I think what I would say from the Lens games when they won 6-0 with 6 different scorers, I'd done the comments with me and Joe Spate on the game against Wolves, and for the first 45 minutes, Arsenal were like Brazil. I've got to say, I thought they were unbelievable. I thought Ødegaard was sharp. Saka's been sharp since the start of the season, but he was brilliant. Trossard in midfield. Declan Rice was just magical in that position. Saliba and Gabriel, they played really, really well and should have scored more goals. So I find it a little bit hard to criticise the performance for 45 because they were that good. It was the first time I think the crowd were really at it as well. The players responded to the crowd and vice versa, and they were great. But to your point, where if they don't bury teams in the Premier League, you offer that little way back. And Wolves, a depleted Wolves, I must say, didn't have João Gomez, didn't have Lamina, didn't have Noure. They put up a real good fight. So I think on the balance at the end of it, when you look at it, you think both managers come out of that game, I think, with a lot of credit. It was a really good game, and Wolves tried to stay in the game, but Arsenal were very, very, very much superior to Wolves in the game.
Absolutely. But get that third goal, and then suddenly, even if the opposition get one back, you can still keep the ball, you're still too clear.
Depends how you see it. Sometimes it depends how you see it. If you win a 2-0, as they were, and you didn't want to expend too much energy, and you were still in control of the game, depends how you see it when you're in game.
Second goal. Well worth watching, is it? Brilliant team goal. We've seen some incredible goals today. Some great individual goals. This is a team goal. Yeah,
well, the build-up to it all, Mark, and the movement and different people. I mean, Saka's been in brilliant form for Arsenal, of course. He has it's not his best cross, I might add, but this 1-2, of course, from Zinchenko, and Ødegaard just puts the brakes on there and leads the box. And again, we've seen this finish many a times from Ødegaard before. No panic. Pretty similar to the Haaland chance we watched earlier. He pulls it wide. Ødegaard finds the back of the net. It's a brilliant finish. Brilliant team goal.
It's so often, isn't it, the defenders run towards the goal line, don't they?
Yeah.
There's like a magnet, isn't there?
Everyone gets sucked in.
Everyone gets sucked in, and he just stands there, doesn't he? Edge of the box, sort of 14, 16 yards out. So often we see him in that position.
Do you feel like as goalkeepers that we panic and we tend to... Because we panic and think, help the keeper, get on the line. And Space has never scored a goal.
That's right. It's a natural reaction, I think, of defenders and stuff. They go to the line and they try and...
Is that a nightmare for you?
The goalkeeper. But even if a cross is coming and a defender drops off you, say, Mark, to go in the line, I'd rather him pick up the guy who's going to head it. You have more chance of clearing it, you know. But I think it's probably panic and human nature. I'll get back in line. You know, like a five-a-side game, you're going, I'll defend the goal, but, you know, it's
I think
it's
just instinct, isn't it?
Yeah, possibly,
No, I think it is.
Maybe they all want to be goalkeepers, Mark.
We're all failed goalkeepers.
You know what I mean?
That's what it is. Let's have a look at the tables, and we'll have a look at the midweek fixtures. A very busy Christmas programme has started. So Arsenal 2 clear of Liverpool. I mean, interesting, the 88th minute, Liverpool are on 28 points. It just shows the difference, doesn't it?
It
absolutely shows the difference.
It's so important, and I know it's captain obvious, but when you're not playing well, win games.
Manchester City in third. Wow. No panic there.
They're having a bad time, Mark. They're having a bad time.
Only one game behind.
Only one game behind, No panic there. Tottenham fifth. Newcastle in
Villa,
sixth
though.
after
Villa.
Manchester United.
Villa still fourth.
Still in the top four. Still in the top four. And Tottenham are resting those 3 defeats in a row with that very good draw at Manchester City. Let's have a look at the bottom of the table then. The asterisk against Everton for the 10 points deducted. So Sheffield United having a pretty miserable time. Burnley 7, Everton 7, Luton 9, and then Bournemouth and Nottingham Forest on 30.
So are we saying from Forest down?
For me, definitely.
Yeah, same.
Definitely.
I think the bottom. I think the 3 that came up, I really do, will go down again. I think it's too big of a jump for all of them. And obviously Everton, as you said before, they're in the mix big time because of that deduction.
Yep. And as we said, they just have to think we are on 7. It's not going to change. Let's have a look at the midweek fixtures then. We've got games Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. The league leaders, Arsenal, go to Luton on Tuesday, and it's Wolves against Burnley. On Wednesday, Manchester United, Chelsea. Not that long ago, that was like first v second.
That's spicy.
Manchester United, Chelsea.
That seems spicy.
Oh, yeah. Well, also because they're both struggling a bit to find some form and to get going. Tottenham-West Ham is always
London derby there.
Very lively game. And Manchester City go to Aston Villa, so two of your former clubs.
Yeah.
Doku came off. We don't know whether he'll be missing. Rodri definitely missing, and Jack Grealish definitely missing because of suspension. When Rodri got sent off and was suspended, they didn't win the next 3 games in the league.
Yeah, it's madness.
Sorry, they did 3 games overall.
And Jack as well. Jack, I feel for Jack watching the game earlier. Kicks the ball away and gets a yellow card. We know that's a yellow card now.
Yeah.
But Jack would have loved to go back to Villa Park and you know, obviously just on the back of the treble as well, because he got a bit of stick the last time he went there, so he's going to miss out as well. It's a blow for him.
So now we're in December, running into New Year, FA Cup. Inevitably, you get a few odd results, don't you? Because there are so many games played in such a short space of time.
This is where, whether you're at the bottom of the league, as I said before, and you can try and grind a couple of wins back-to-back, you can get yourself out of immediate danger. If you're a team from 8th or 7th upwards, if you can go back-to-back wins, you're pushing towards Champions League spots. And I think December, coming into January, is about staying in touch.
Football, and that's exactly what we've got. Derek Ray here on the commentary box, joined as always by former Arsenal and England fullback Lee Dixon. And we can't wait for this one to start with justifiable cause. It's Wigan Athletic up against Tottenham Hotspur.
Well, thank you, Derek. Glorious atmosphere here. Really looking forward to it. The fans are too. The players look like they're up for it. This could be end-to-end. We could get goals today, Derek.
A Spurs free kick it's going to be. Dyer. Here's Kane. It did look on for them, but not to be. The forward thrust is by Dele Alli. Lo Celso. Here's Dele Alli. Oh, tremendous block. Splendid tackle, and the outcome is a corner here. Taken short. Son. Lo Celso. Can he convert? Not to be in terms of the finish. Well, the man who captained England to a 4th place finish at World Cup 2018 while winning the Golden Boot, Harry Kane. Goal. Opportunity it is. Can they keep it out? Well, they can keep possession now.
Well, we've had a decent start to this game. I thought we were going to get a first goal then, but goalkeeper had other ideas.
Son. Is it going to end up being productive for them? Good vision. Can he get onto this? And on the volley, that's not exactly how he intended to catch it.
Well, it's worth a chance. 1 in 10, it goes in the top corner. 9 out of 10 goes where it did do.
And fed forwards. Oh, surely. And with that, they thwarted the opportunity. Aurier. Well, they're doing a fine job of applying pressure here, not giving their opponents time to think or get out of their own half. And the ball back with Spurs now. Real chance. Clean through he was then, but he's fluffed his lines, Lee.
Well, he just put his head down, Derek, and hit.
And a blunder by the keeper. Kane! Well, taking on the show.